we have music today?
Do you want music today?
Are we live right now
Our
talking
mics
about
are
this?
hot right now. If you want music, I can give you music. Just remind me to shut it off when we're done.
Okay.
Or you could play the Wayne's World thing. Your
Hang
mic
on.
will pick it up.
Hang on. That's right.
Crank it up. Wait till you hear this, everybody. Because it's party time. It's excellent. Done.
A weekday, 3:30. Mace. Cecil.
Oh, I see what you did.
I should have said, party on, Mace, and party on, Cecil.
Mason Cease. It's
We're
Orange
back.
and Blue today. We are back. We are brought to you by Sean Honda. We are here to talk about some Broncos football that we actually got to see today.
Yeah.
And we talked about it yesterday because you got the message when we were on air. Hey, we got practice tomorrow.
Yeah, it was sort of like the previews in New Haven before a show hits Broadway, right? You're kind of, it's going to open up. The lights are going to be on. People are going to be on the hillside on Friday. Today, we got the sneak preview.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a sneak peek of what you're going to see.
But we're under OTA and
Right.
mini camp restrictions on what can and can't be said. So, but that being said, it was really, how would I describe this, Cease? It was more than a jog through like we saw last year, but less than a practice. It was definitely the on-ramp to training camp today, and probably tomorrow will be very similar.
Yes, and that's how Sean Payton described it as well, that it is an on-ramp. They're ramping things up to full training camp practices because this was an hour and a half. There was, quite a bit of stretching involved and lots of water breaks. So it wasn't a jog through, but it was a little taste. I think we got a sampler of what we're going to see starting on Friday.
Yes, it was. And, I'll say this. First of all, we didn't see what we saw in OTAs and minicamp where Sean Payton really kind of stopped practice for a long time to kind of explain something. Although there were a couple of moments where the timing needed some correction. Understandable. It's the first day back for an awful lot of players in the last several weeks. Now, some that we know that Russell Wilson, Cortland Sutton, a few others have been doing workouts, but definitely I would describe today as kind of a bit of a orientation and a bit clunky, but that's okay. It's day one. That's what you expect.
Yeah, it's day one. It's what you expect. And, well, we got some good stuff from Sean Payton. We're going to play some clips from Sean Payton coming up in just a little bit. But one of the first questions asked of the head coach of the Denver Broncos was about running back Javonte Williams avoiding the PUP list, which means he's ready to go for the start of training camp. But how much will he do? Payton told us what the plan was for Javonte.
Yeah, I think you should actually share the details of that.
Yeah, the details are there's tiers, right? Different tiers of players.
There's levels.
And there's levels.
It's like what Kramer wanted his apartment to be on Seinfeld. The levels with little steps.
Right.
And carpeting like ancient Egypt.
Steps
for
Javonte. And Javonte will be one of the players that they have a plan for to, again, ramp up.
Everybody who's coming off a significant injury from last year is on the ramp up plan.
Right.
So Tim Patrick, for example, he's another player who's also on the ramp up level plan. I think that's the wise way to go about it. What I think will be fascinating to see is how those levels translate to, are they going to play at some point in the preseason, or is it going to be practice only and then getting to the game level immediately in week one, and that being their first time? I would imagine they would like to get them some actual game full speed work before starting the regular season.
And perhaps the third preseason game is where you could get some carries, some touches for Javonte Williams. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if they didn't have him out there in the preseason, but Mace, they might say, because he's looked really good. I don't know what we can say and what we can't say. You'll see it on Friday.
There was a moment today. He looked really good. Like, there was a moment. I think you and I know the play.
We know the moment.
Okay.
Right.
And he makes a cut and he bursts through and he looked ready to go.
Classic Javonte.
It looked just like it did in his rookie season.
Yeah.
That was exciting. I'd say probably that was the single most exciting moment of the practice.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was an exciting moment. And seeing who was starting where was another exciting moment.
Who was on field 1, who was on field 2.
Right. Which we can't really get into until Friday.
You'll see on Friday, if they split the fields, you'll see who's on the first field, who's on the second field. And if you're looking for an indication of where things stand depth chart wise beyond the obvious, check into that, because it's not, you have some second teamers who are on field 1. Those are top of the line, top end rotational players.
Right. Right.
And we've talked about some of them, for example. I mean, you go on the defensive line, based on the defensive lineman you see over on field 1, that's the guys that they're going to be emphasizing. It's not just the 3 guys starting. You'll see somebody else there too.
And I think maybe based on tomorrow's practice, which we will both be in attendance for, like maybe we should do a what to watch for, a little section on tomorrow's program. Be like, this is, if you're going to training camp, this is what you need to watch for.
I'd say unless news breaks, that should probably be the show tomorrow.
Okay. That sounds good. Oh, we still got
20
minutes on this show.
Yeah, exactly. We planned tomorrow's show, and we've already, and we're not even a third of the way into this one. But I think maybe kind of a camp guide.
Yes.
A
guide to Broncos training.
Who to watch for.
Who to watch.
We've talked about some of these names, but maybe just kind of think of it as a refresher course, right? Like Friday morning, people are going to be on the hillside. Camp's going to start. It's, Friday is when you start taking the SAT or the ACT.
Right.
So we're going to do a little last minute prep for everybody.
You're excited
tomorrow,
but remember what to watch for. And this is something I'll get to when I talk about the inside linebackers later in my practice observations, because it's what you're looking for. And with Javonte, to get back on that, is like, if he does another play like that, or 2 or 3, as we go through practice, and he's got these daily plays like that, I think that's when you make the decision to go ahead and play him in the preseason. Right now, for me personally, Mace, I'm saying no preseason for Javonte. But if he keeps doing what he did today, which we plan that he will, that would change my plan.
I think part of the levels that we were talking about also is you see those plays and they build confidence. It's not just the physical, it's the mental. And anytime you have a player coming off of a significant knee injury like that, the mental hurdle sometimes is the toughest one, because you've got to get to where you trust the repaired ligaments when you're making a cut. And if you see that over and over again, then, and you experience that as a player, then you're going to be in the right headspace, and gradually, bit by bit, you're going to start trusting that knee. But I've talked to players over the years, I know you have as well, who've said, hey, that full trust, it's not necessarily all the way there when you return for actual game work.
Right.
It's sometime beyond that.
Yes. And that's one of the reasons why, if Javonte continues to look as he's looked, and it may sound bad, Mace, don't scold me, like BK scolded me today when I was getting our Chick-fil-A. Sorry, BK.
But I thought he was very special.
He is very special.
According to
I want Javonte to take a hit. I want him in the preseason to take a hit on that knee so that he knows he's back, because you can cut and you can trust. And we've seen him cut and we've seen him trust and we've seen him burst. And he looks like vintage Javonte. Until he gets hit on that knee, he might have that doubt.
Yeah. And that's okay. That's human nature. That's fair. Completely understandable. But it's part of the fact that it's part of him not being over this yet. I mean, it's just, it takes some time. It's remarkable that we're talking about Javonte Williams today, not starting training camp on the PUP list, not starting training camp on NFI. It wouldn't have been NFI because it was a game injury, but not starting camp on the PUP, that's a victory for him.
Huge win.
Yeah. Because honestly, all along, I think you and I have discussed this, and part of it is what we've seen with past players with similar injuries. I think we both expected PUP.
Yes.
And maybe even Samaje Perine being the primary running back as you got early in the regular season while Javonte completed his road back. Now, I mean, if Javonte continues on this pace, we might be talking about week 1, Javonte Williams gets the first carry, Javonte Williams gets the majority of the carries.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. And we didn't know how he'd recover from such an injury, because he's never sustained such a serious and severe injury like that. I guess he is Adrian Peterson. Well, Adrian Peterson came off a knee injury in 8 months and ran for 2,000 yards.
Yeah.
Javonte's not going to do that. I don't want to go. Remember Selvin Young? Wasn't it
Selvin Young in
It was like,
2008 said he
what are you
wanted to
gonna
get
do?
2,000 yards. I admire the confidence.
I do. I don't think he ran for 2,000 in his career, though. I don't want to be mean.
No, I believe you're actually.
Might have been a few hundred. Honestly.
No, I think he got over 1,000. Not in
Okay.
this season, but I'm pretty sure he got
As a
over 1,000 in his career.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do
Now,
the drum roll, please, as we go
Yeah.
to Pro Football Reference.
1,032.
Oh,
He
got
just
it.
barely
See, I would have
sneaked
taken
over.
the under on that.
He had a career 5.1 yards per carry average. That's pretty dadgum good.
Maybe he could have got 2,000. Either way, we didn't know how Javonte would recover. Now we kind of do know. And I feel like I owe George Payton an apology because on this show after the combine, when Payton's like, yeah, week 1, I was like, George is lying. He wasn't lying. He just.
I thought he was a little bit just overconfident and optimistic.
A little sunshine, a little too positive, but no.
Hey,
not at all.
Sometimes it's okay to have sunshine lollipops and rainbows and everything that's wonderful when we're together.
Okay, there you go. It is Orange Blue Today, presented by Shop Honda. What matters most? We heard multiple. Justin Simmons talked about this. Sean Payton talked about it. In finding players that it means a lot to them. I thought that was a great way to summarize, these guys are coming back and they've stayed in shape. And correct me if I'm wrong, nobody got in trouble. There wasn't any sort of speeding incidents. Hey, Jordan Addison, slow down, buddy. Okay. There wasn't any sort of this other stuff you hear with other teams.
Did anyone learn anything from Henry Ruggs?
I would hope so. And that doesn't seem to be the case. But either way, these players stayed out of trouble. They came back in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
And Sean Payton said, you just have to find players where this means the most to them.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not about saying it means the most. It's about showing.
Bingo.
Anybody can come in and say, "Hey, this I'm all in.
I'm a professional."
Professional what?
Right.
If you know that scene, you know that scene.
Right.
I was actually watching another John Hughes film last night, just in the background.
You can't go wrong with John Hughes films.
Yeah, had The Breakfast Club is on Netflix. I know I've seen it a bunch of times, but it's always a good watch.
Okay.
I think Carl is the heart of the movie.
Okay.
The eyes and ears of this institution.
Yes. I like it. I love it. And I want some more of it. We're on a roll today because we're out in the sun. You got a little heat stroke. Yeah. Hydrate, men.
Oh, hydrate and water. And if you're coming out to training camp,
yes, please.
There will be places to get water.
Station.
There's a hydration station.
Mm-hmm.
It was broiling today. It gets uncomfortable. And oh, by the way, we in the fourth estate are going to be not far from all of y'all on the hillside.
Right.
We're all going to be on the hillside together watching practice. So come on down and say hello.
Say howdy, partner.
Yeah.
Todd asks, is it still a possibility the Broncos continue looking at adding running back? Well, if it's like the defensive line conversation, Sean Payton answered this question about we're competing with the guys we have here now.
Yes. Let's find out what you have. I think there are veterans out there that you can get. Okay. Just Ezekiel Elliott is still on the market.
Leonard Fournette.
Leonard Fournette is still on the
Kareem
market.
Hunt's still out there.
If you want to go a little bit down, but someone who's familiar around here, Marlon Mack, a pretty decent and productive running back, is still on the market. Okay. And there are defensive linemen as well. You can just, you don't have to shake a tree pretty far to find Michael Brockers or Shelby Harris, right? So there are going to be guys who are out there available. What they want to do is give the first look to the players who are on hand. Okay.
It's fair.
Let's find out on the D-line what Jonathan Harris and Matt Henningsen have. They've been in our camp a little while. Jonathan Harris has been around the last couple of years. Matt Henningsen came in last year. Let's see what they've got. At running back, let's see what Tyler Beatty has.
Beatty looks pretty good.
Yeah, he's got some spark. Let's see what Jaleel McLaughlin has. Let's see what Tony Jones Jr. has. Right? That's the priority right now. Because if you get the answers you seek from those players, you're younger. Let's face it. Every dollar matters cap wise. It's more cost effective. And then you're enhancing your development credibility, right? I mean, this isn't going to work unless the Broncos become a better team at developing talent. So, yeah, give Jonathan Harris and Matt Henningsen long looks. Give Tyler Beatty, who had the touchdown catch last year in the season finale against the Chargers, give him a long look. Let's have a little faith in the kids. Okay.
And if there's any coach that will give you time, this is a good thing about a regime change.
Yes.
Is it is a meritocracy. If Beatty can play and Beatty will be that third guy, guess who's going to make the team and make the plays? It's going to be Beatty.
Right.
Like with Sean Payton, it's not going to be, well, this is my guy. Like, can you play or can you not play? He always talks about Marcus Colston.
Yes.
Right. He talks about Antonio Pittman, and then Pierre Thomas was the UDFA, and Pittman played like a year for him. And he was a 4th-round pick from Ohio State. And then Pierre Thomas, Illinois, right? Illinois. He's an Illinois back.
I think so, yeah.
He undrafted, and Pierre Thomas becomes pretty much a household name, certainly a fantasy football name. So, like, if this is the spot, if there's one coach that would take a guy that may be on the fringe and he's making plays, it's Sean Payton.
Yeah, and that's why I think the receiver competition is going to be so interesting.
Oh, boy. Wait till Friday. We could tell you about those receivers.
Oh, this is going to be fun. If we could tell you more about this practice per the rules, we'd be talking a lot about the receivers. Let's just say that some young guys that you and I like look pretty good today.
They're making some plays, right?
They're doing good things. They're turning some heads.
Yes. Can't say anymore. We apologize.
I'm excited. I find a great deal of energy and excitement from seeing young players come in and test their boundaries and exceed them. Just watching that process happen. But again, it's part of the type of organization the Broncos want and need to become, being able to develop these guys, right? And trust it and trusting that. And look, we've seen it in the past. I mean, a good example was back about a decade ago. You had Monte Ball was a 2nd-round pick, and C.J. Anderson was undrafted. Of course, sadly, Monte Ball had to deal with alcoholism, which basically
and he's overcome that.
And
now,
his career,
to his credit,
he's doing his best. I mean, we know when you have alcoholism, you're fighting it every day, but he's got a support system. He's doing all right. But the fact that you had C.J. Anderson in reserve there, and when things went south for Monte, C.J. took the bull by the horns, basically.
Right.
And as Sean Payton alluded to on draft weekend, you got Super Bowl 50, and there you were. Your starting running back was a guy that was undrafted, even though you'd picked a 2nd-round back in Monte Ball, you'd picked a 3rd-round running back in the late Ronnie Hillman back in 2012, and the starter was this undrafted kid from Cal.
Yeah.
The
bowling ball, bowled to 300.
By the way, congratulations, CJ, for that 300.
He's done it before, so now he's back. He's getting back in the swing of things, so to speak. So
he's on a roll. God, I couldn't help myself.
Couldn't help yourself? Had to do it.
Man.
Had to do it.
The dad joke thing.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Make it stop.
It's orange and blue today. We're presented by Sean Payton. To tie a bow on this thing.
Sure.
Talk about it from the player standpoint, Mace, because you and I have been around enough players to know that if Tyler Beatty makes the 53, you know what that does to those young guys who are on a come up, or maybe a veteran is bounced around, and you go, damn it, if I can make the plays, I'm going to make this team. These guys notice that. And I think in the locker room, that holds a lot of weight, because it is that meritocracy of, can you play or can you not play? Players are going to notice that, and they'll be extra motivated to perform for Sean Payton and company.
Yeah, and then the value of that is you fast forward a year or two, and you've become that type of organization where, all right, you didn't get drafted, but you're going to sign somewhere. You're going to go to the place that's going to give you the best opportunity. And let's face it, there are teams where basically they've got pretty much everything set, even right after the draft. Like, they'll draft a player in the 5th round and say, okay, he's making the roster. He's going to be in this specific spot playing these particular special teams units. That's not the case with the Broncos. It's not the case with Sean Payton.
Right.
I mean, there's an idea, there's a notion, but Not there are going to be chances to change that. Whereas you look back at last year, Montreal Washington is given the punt returner job right at the start of camp. Like, okay. Did you earn it? No. And it's nothing against Montreal personally. I like him personally, but it was handed to him on a silver platter. And unfortunately, he wasn't ready for that. Now, he could earn the job this summer. And certainly it's worth noting, we can talk about this because Sean Payton mentioned it, Marvin Mims.
Yes.
Dealing with another hamstring injury.
Yes.
Not the same hammy injury that kept him out
one.
during OTAs and minicamp. So 2 things. Number 1, Broncos need to just make sure he's healthy. They don't need KJ Hamler 2.0 here.
No.
Speed threat, 2nd round pick. They don't need now the guy with the litany of
hamstrings on speed guys linger longer
than
regular guys.
Yeah. And so if you're going to be cautious with Marvin Mims, that's going to open up punt return. And so somebody like Montreal Washington is going to have a chance.
Yes.
And if he gets it, great story. That is a story I would love to write. If he does it, he will have earned it.
Well,
and we love redemption stories.
And there is another player, inside linebacker, who I thought today, and I'll get to it more tomorrow, but like there's redemption stories on this team. Like just because you've been hanging around, you haven't done anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't now. Sean Payton is looking everywhere for talent, and I appreciate that. And I know the players do as well. Okay, Nate says the Broncos will rue the day they let go of Brandon McManus. Well, here's the thing. Todd talking about Brett Maher. Where is it? Right there, I think. Yeah. Let's get to the Sean Payton comments about the kicker.
Yeah. You're okay there. Yeah, I think you had the right comment.
I had to click it.
I think you had the right comment there earlier, but yeah. Anyway,
I'm clicking
from Todd.
How about we click on Sean Payton? Here's his comments on the
kicker.
We
worked him out in the spring. At that time, we were a little bit off contract wise. We like his talent. You know, obviously he had a tough game, but when you look at his body of work, it's been pretty impressive. So we're happy we could get it done in time for the start of camp.
Now you notice the fans will be like, one bad game.
Yeah. Also, I apologize for the sound quality. I left my dongle in my bag. I have a little dongle that I can connect. And
okay.
Yes.
Don't forget your dongle in your bag.
Yes. Yeah.
But either way, one bad game. It was
keep your dongle on you.
It was a bad game. It was a bad game, Coach. Like it was.
Yeah, it was.
I know what he's trying to say. I know what he's trying to say.
I'm going to make a cross sport comparison here because when you have the type of game that Brett Maher had, missing those extra points against Tampa Bay in the playoffs, it's a mental thing. Extra points, when it goes wrong like that, it's usually mental and not physical. The cross sport comparison I'm making, if you're watching the Rockies-Nationals game today, the Rockies lost. And Daniel Bard has dealt with anxiety, literally was on the injured list earlier this season because of anxiety. Terrific season last year, was pitching really well in the last few months until today. And you do wonder, okay, and you worry, all right, did the anxiety kind of come back because he's very much in trade conversations, could be going to a contender, instead of playing things out in a miserable Rocky season. So, was that something that came up in allowing what turned out to be 4 earned runs and a 5-4 loss. So, with Brett Maher last year, this guy, terrific. If we're going by the last couple of regular seasons, he was in New Orleans with Sean Payton in 2021. Stabilized the kicker position after Will Lutz had gotten hurt early and they'd gone through a bunch of kickers. And then Brett Maher came in and did very well and basically was able to stop the bleeding for New Orleans at kicker. He goes on to Dallas and he's absolutely terrific in the regular season. 29 of 32 on field goals. The last 2 years, his field goal percentage is better than that of Brandon McManus. Okay. And then has the bad game in the playoffs. So the thing is, I think you give him a fair shot. I just worry what happens if you get to week 1 and he misses the PAT.
Right.
Now, I said earlier, we love redemption stories. I think we'd all love to write the Brett Maher redemption story because of how he struggled so prominently in the playoffs. But the bottom line is you do have concerns, and I've dealt with my own mental health issues. You have, and I can tell you sometimes what happens is that when you experience something again, if you're not all the way past it, the echoes kind of get in your head a little bit.
Right. It can have a domino effect.
And that's, again, I'm speaking from experience here. That is where I do have concerns about Brett Maher. But if he's in a good headspace, if he's gotten past that, and if there's a good supportive environment there, then if he misses a PAT, I think we'll say, okay, that's fine. Go on to the next one. Get out there and swing the club again. But we'll see. As Gary Kubiak would say, we're fixing to find out.
We are fixing to find out. I noticed Sean Payton had that camp cut just like Gary used to. Gary'd get the color though.
Yeah,
He'd get the cut, and then his hair was black, and it's like, Gary, you can be gray, baby.
He went, but the thing, and it was a different type of cut because Coobs went for the full buzz, high and tight.
Yep.
You think I should do that?
Military look?
I don't think I could pull it off.
I don't think you could pull it off. No.
I think I just had. I mean, this is right now. By the way, this hair is too long. Like it's. I'm getting it cut tomorrow at 4:20.
You couldn't go at 4:20. Nice.
Yes.
Nice. You couldn't go John Wick or Juan Wick since I'm Chicano. You couldn't do that like me.
No, I don't think so.
No. Has your hair been long before?
There is a driver's license picture of me where the shadows are such to where it appeared as if I had a truly rockin' mullet.
Nice.
That would have been right around 2000 or so.
Not nice. If you said 1989, that would have been nice.
Well, that's why I said it was an accident. I've never had a mullet.
Okay.
I've never had the business in the front and the party in the back.
Maybe you should try party in the back.
I don't know.
Come on, Mr. Haircut at 4:20.
I'm not a. It was the perfect time. We wrap up the show. I go
right there.
I go to Floyd's down the street here at DTC. I mean, it just kind of worked out that way.
I wonder if Ben DiNucci gets his haircut at Floyd's. I wonder if Ben DiNucci's going to make this team. Do you want to hear? I mean, you asked the question. It was your question. So set up and why you asked this question today of Sean Payton. I'll play it in a little bit, but let's give everyone the setup of why you had to ask about Ben DiNucci, because it goes back to our previous conversation of if you can play, you can play. And if you're going to make plays, you're going to get noticed by Sean Payton. He's not going to be blind to players that are trying to impress.
And the other thing also that comes into play on Ben DiNucci, of course, is Jarrett Garantano cut yesterday, as we discussed. So DiNucci is the number 3 quarterback, which means he's going to get some opportunities.
Okay, here's Coach on Ben DiNucci.
The one thing is, we talked about it in a meeting, his ability to get in a huddle, out of the huddle, execute the play, get to the right receiver, distribute the ball. Nothing really flashy. He's a good decision maker. I think he's pretty accurate. Well, you know exactly what you're getting, and his decisions and football IQ is really strong. And so those are some things that sometimes you can't appreciate until you have a preseason game and you have a young quarterback and the clock's ticking, and there's a calmness and a demeanor, a little bit more experience with him, although he's still young. But I do see the arm talent and the athleticism, and so someone we want to work with.
I like it. I like it a lot.
You know, he talks about what he's experienced in the game, what DiNucci's experienced in the games. Again, we went on our rant yesterday about the lack of developmental leagues and what role things like the XFL and the USFL can serve to get young players practical reps, because there's nothing like game work. Practice isn't the same.
No.
And here we are. And okay, I can't say who he threw to. He had some good throws.
He had some good throws today.
He had, and that was part of the reason why I asked.
Yes, that prompted
because I had a couple of notes that I jot down. Just because we can't report stuff doesn't mean I'm not filling my notebook with stuff. I know you were too.
Yep.
There were a couple of moments where I was like, ooh, nice.
Well, here's the thing.
Putting the biscuit in the basket, so to speak.
I'm not saying Tony Romo, and I'm not even saying Cooper Rush. But when you have an Eastern Illinois connection, and just look at the history of Eastern Illinois, Mike Shanahan and Sean Payton, Tony Romo, Jimmy Garoppolo, and I know DiNucci didn't go to Eastern Illinois, but you have that small school quarterback, like, end of the roster type of guy.
James Madison Duke.
James Madison.
Although he started at Pitt.
Okay.
And he transferred to JMU.
Okay. Who
Harris,
was at Pitt that made him transfer? Back then.
Well, he was at Pitt.
Was that the Nathan Peterman time?
Yeah, he was. Okay. Yes.
Oh my God.
He was Nathan Peterman's backup.
Okay. And he's better than Nathan Peterman. I think we all can say that. But having that story, do not think for a second that Ben DiNucci couldn't get in and play like in a regular season game.
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't be embarrassed.
Here's the other thing. It wasn't just Nathan Peterman. Then he came back and he did make some starts and then lost the job to
Kenny Pickett.
Yes.
You can lose the job to
Okay, Kenny Pickett's not bad.
Yeah. That's pretty all right.
Yeah, even though it's a bad name. It's a bad name for a quarterback, but it's not bad to lose your job to Kenny Pickett.
It's better than Pickens. Shout out Carl Pickens. Anyway, Friday, everybody, Friday. We're going to tell you what DiNucci did. He's going to make plays.
Everybody's looking forward to the weekend.
It's Friday.
When you said Friday, I couldn't.
Friday.
Or let's maybe do a little cure. It's Friday. I'm in love.
Can't go wrong. Michael Smith.
Friday always comes too late. No, it's Robert Smith.
Robert Smith.
Robert Smith's
right.
The Cure. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. What was I thinking? Michael Smith. Michael Thomas. There you go. That's Saints connection. Anyway, what other Fridays we could do? Something from the soundtrack on Friday. I don't know. Speaking of 420.
What is that? What was that song last year? That the Friday song they played every Friday at practice.
Oh, I can't remember.
Oh man, I'd have to look that up.
Oh, well, anyway.
But yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about. Speaking of which, we have a programming note. We haven't revealed this yet, Mace.
Well, people have been asking for this.
They have, and we're going to give it to you.
If you hadn't gotten enough of our wacky references that are very specifically relevant to people who consume pop culture from roughly 1980 to 2005, well, we're going to an hour for training camp.
Spoiler alert.
Yes.
Yeah. So when Friday starts.
And we're having a Saturday show because if there's a training camp practice on a Saturday, we will do a Saturday show.
You're getting an orange and blue today, every day that you have training camp, and it's going to be an hour.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So it's starting on Friday. I don't care if Monday's black, Tuesday, Wednesday, heart attack, Thursday, never looking back, Friday, I'm in love.
He is Andrew Mason.
And I'm just
by the way, I believe it was Henry. I have to look this up, and I do have to look this up
because
I had someone on Twitter reach out to me and that said, "Hey, my son wonders why you didn't say be safe, be kind, know that you're appreciated
during the
show."
Well,
he likes saying it along with me.
We didn't say it at all during the pre-recorded shows. Yes, you could probably tell we pre-recorded
there's a
20-some shows, right?
Right.
During the downtime,
including
but we're live
what
now.
ifs, which were amazing.
Yes.
So I'll make sure it's Henry, but shout out all of our listeners, all of the people who love to watch and listen to the show. And we got certain outros, right? Certain things, tradition.
But we're gonna bring it back because we're live. Not on tape, as Hank Now Kingsley would say on Larry Sanders' show. But
yes.
Live.
So it is
on
David that hit me up, and
yes.
he said his 12-year-old Henry, who says stay frosty to all his friends. So for Henry, this one's for you. Be safe, be kind, know that you are appreciated. Stay tuned, and would you always please stay frosty.